You need to leave right now, or I'll have security escort you out." The words landed in the middle of the showroom like a diamond dropped onto glass. Sharp, impossible to ignore, and suddenly every conversation inside Brooks Fine Jewelry came to a stop. The air seemed to tighten. Heads turned. A few customers froze with champagne flutes halfway to their lips. Others glanced up from velvet display cases lined with sparkling diamonds worth more than most homes. Standing near the entrance was a black woman in her mid-40s wearing dark jeans, a cream-colored sweater, and simple leather flats. No designer handbag, no visible jewelry, no entourage. Nothing about her appearance matched the assumptions already forming inside the minds of several people watching. Monica Brooks didn't move. She simply looked at the woman speaking to her. Karen Whitmore, the store manager, stood behind a polished glass counter with her arms folded tightly across her chest. Her smile wasn't welcoming. It wasn't even professional. It was the kind of smile someone wore when they believed they held all the power in the room. "Ma'am," Karen continued loudly enough for nearby customers to hear, "our private collection isn't available for casual browsing." A soft laugh escaped from a man standing beside a display of engagement rings. Another customer raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Monica's face remained calm. She had seen this look before. She had heard this tone before. The showroom itself was beautiful. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. White marble reflected the afternoon sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Every display case gleamed. Every surface projected luxury. Yet in a matter of seconds, the elegance of the room had begun to crack. Karen stepped closer. "I'm going to ask you one more time. This section is reserved for serious clients." Monica slowly turned her eyes toward the display she had been examining moments earlier. A rare yellow diamond sat beneath the glass. The stone caught the light perfectly. "I was interested in seeing that piece," Monica said calmly. Karen's expression hardened. "That ring starts at $180,000. The implication hung in the air. Nobody missed it. A young sales associate nearby shifted uncomfortably. Across the showroom, an older woman looked away, embarrassed by what she was witnessing. Monica nodded once. "I understand." Karen laughed softly. "Do you?" The room grew quieter. Every word now carried weight. Every glance seemed sharper. The young associate standing near the register looked back and forth between Karen and Monica. Something about the situation felt wrong. Very wrong. But she stayed silent. For now, Karen leaned against the counter. "People walk in here every week pretending they belong. We have standards." The sentence settled over the showroom like a shadow. Monica finally looked directly at her. Her eyes were calm, steady, unreadable. Not angry, not intimidated. Just watching, waiting, measuring. The same way someone might study a crack forming in a foundation before the entire structure collapsed. Karen mistook the silence for weakness. That was her first mistake. Around them, customers began pretending to browse while secretly listening. The tension was no longer hidden. It sat openly in the room, visible in every glance and every uncomfortable shift of posture. Karen pointed toward the entrance. "You need to leave." Monica still didn't move. For a brief moment, neither woman spoke. The chandeliers sparkled overhead. The diamonds glittered beneath the lights. And somewhere beneath the polished luxury of Brooks Fine Jewelry, the first crack in a very expensive illusion had begun to spread. Monica Brooks remained exactly where she was. The silence surrounding her seemed almost intentional, as if the showroom itself were holding its breath. Karen Whitmore interpreted that silence as hesitation. She could not have been more wrong. Monica had spent more than 20 years building businesses in rooms filled with people who underestimated her before she ever spoke a single word. Boardrooms, investment meetings, luxury conventions. She had learned long ago that the loudest person in the room was rarely the most powerful one. Karen glanced towards several customers who were now openly watching. Sensing an audience, her confidence grew. "I do not know why this is becoming difficult," she said. "This store serves a very specific clientele." Monica looked around slowly. Crystal lights reflected across polished marble floors. Display cases stretched across nearly 6,000 square feet of showroom space. Every diamond, every gemstone, every carefully designed fixture represented years of work. Yet nobody around her seemed to realize that. That was by design. Monica had arrived alone that afternoon for a reason. 3 times every year she visited one of her locations without notice. No executive team. No assistants. No advance warning. She wanted to see what customers experienced when nobody thought the owner was watching. Most stores passed. Some exceeded expectations. A few revealed problems hidden beneath polished appearances. Today was beginning to feel very different. Near the back of the showroom, a young sales associate named Emily Carter stood beside a display of diamond bracelets. She had been with the company less than 6 months. During orientation, employees had spent nearly an hour learning about the history of Brooks Fine Jewelry. They had seen photographs of the founder. They had watched interviews. Emily found herself looking at Monica again. Something felt familiar. She could not quite place it. Not yet. Karen continued speaking. Our private clients schedule appointments in advance. Monica nodded politely. That sounds reasonable. Karen seemed surprised by the calm response. Exactly. Monica glanced toward the rare yellow diamond ring again. I still would like to see that piece. Karen laughed softly. You are not listening. Across the showroom, a middle-aged couple exchanged uncomfortable looks. Another customer quietly set down a jewelry catalog. The atmosphere was changing. The luxury remained, but the warmth had vanished. It felt colder now. Sharper. Emily shifted her weight nervously. She had never seen a manager speak to a customer this way. Monica folded her hands calmly in front of her. Tell me something, she said. How long have you managed this location? Karen straightened immediately. Almost 4 years. Pride entered her voice. Monica smiled slightly. That is impressive. Karen mistook the comment as admiration. I know how to identify serious buyers. The statement lingered in the air. Monica studied her for a moment. Not with anger. Not with resentment. With curiosity. The kind of curiosity someone might have before opening a file that already contains all the answers. Emily looked at Monica again. Then something clicked. A photograph from training. An article in the employee newsletter. A company anniversary video. Her eyes widened slightly. She looked from Monica to Karen and back again. Her heartbeat quickened. Suddenly she understood why the customer standing near the entrance seemed so calm. Monica was not trapped in an uncomfortable situation. She was observing it, measuring it, recording every word. And while Karen believed she was controlling the room, the reality was something entirely different. The real test had only just begun. Emily Carter felt her stomach tighten. The photograph from orientation flashed through her memory again. The company founder standing beside a newly opened flagship location. The same calm eyes. The same composed expression. She looked toward Monica once more, then quickly toward Karen. A warning formed in her mind, but hesitation kept it trapped there. Karen, meanwhile, seemed determined to keep digging deeper. She stepped behind the glass display and removed a velvet tray holding several diamond rings. Instead of presenting them, she closed the tray and slid it back into the case. The gesture was subtle, but everyone nearby noticed. Monica noticed too. I suppose that answers my question, Monica said quietly. Karen tilted her head. What question? Whether your decisions are based on customers or assumptions. The words landed softly, yet somehow carried across the showroom. Karen's smile disappeared for a moment. Then it returned, thinner than before. My decisions are based on experience. A man standing near a watch display glanced toward his wife. Neither of them resumed shopping. They were no longer interested in jewelry. They were watching something else unfold. Monica slowly walked a few steps farther into the showroom. No one stopped her. Her pace remained relaxed. She paused beside another display containing custom engagement pieces. The diamonds sparkled beneath the lights like frozen stars. Karen followed immediately. I already explained the situation. Monica looked at the display. Did you? Karen's voice grew louder. You are creating a disturbance. Several customers exchanged surprised looks. Monica had not raised her voice once. She had not argued. She had not demanded anything. Yet somehow she was being blamed for the tension filling the room. Emily felt her face grow warm. The unfairness was becoming impossible to ignore. Karen motioned toward another employee. Please contact store security. The request was delivered casually, as if it were routine. The employee hesitated. Security? Karen nodded. Yes. Immediately, the room seemed to shrink. Conversations stopped entirely. Even customers across the showroom were listening now. Monica turned slowly toward Karen. Security? She repeated. For what reason? Karen folded her arms. For refusing to leave after being asked. Monica's expression never changed. Interesting. Karen mistook the calmness for surrender. You should have listened the first time. Emily took a step forward before stopping herself. Her pulse was racing. The image from training was no longer a vague memory. She was almost certain now. Almost. Yet the possibility felt too unbelievable to say aloud. Why would the founder be standing here alone? Why would she allow any of this to continue? Monica glanced around the showroom once more. Her eyes moved from employee to employee, then across the customers who had become silent witnesses. The atmosphere felt charged now, like the moments before a storm breaks across an open field. Karen pointed toward the entrance. Last chance. Monica looked directly at her. No, she said calmly. I think this is your last chance. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Karen's face. Only for a second. Then it vanished. She laughed and shook her head. You really believe you belong here? Monica's gaze never wavered. That is the difference between us, she replied. I do not need to believe it. The words settled heavily into the silence. Somewhere in the back of the showroom, a customer slowly lowered a catalog onto a glass counter. Emily's eyes widened. And although nobody realized it yet, the balance of power inside Brooks Fine Jewelry had already begun to shift. Emily Carter could not stay silent any longer. The realization had settled fully into her mind now, heavy and undeniable. She took a careful step away from the register and moved toward Karen. Her voice was quiet at first. Karen, maybe we should slow down. Karen barely looked at her. There is nothing to slow down. Emily swallowed. I think there might be. The response earned her a sharp stare. Several customers immediately noticed the exchange. The tension inside the showroom had become impossible to ignore. It hung beneath the crystal chandeliers like a storm cloud refusing to move. Karen straightened her blazer and glanced toward the employee she had asked to contact security. Did you make the call? The employee hesitated. Not yet. Karen's jaw tightened. Then do it. Monica remained calm. She stood beside the engagement display as though she had nowhere else to be. Her composure seemed to unsettle people more than anger ever could. Most customers would have argued by now. Some would have left. Others would have demanded a manager. Monica simply observed. Across the showroom, an older gentleman who had been shopping for an anniversary gift quietly folded his arms. Something about this feels wrong, he murmured to his wife. She nodded. Very wrong. Emily gathered her courage. Karen, she said again, slightly louder this time. I think I know who she is. The words landed harder than anyone expected. Karen let out a short laugh. Good. Then maybe you can explain why she refuses to leave. Emily glanced toward Monica. Monica said nothing. She merely watched. Karen mistook that silence for uncertainty. Emily did not. I really think I know who she is. Karen rolled her eyes. Emily, stop. But Emily could not stop now. The memory from orientation was crystal clear. The founder standing in front of a flagship store. The same posture. The same calm confidence. The same eyes. I think she might be. Emily paused. The room seemed to lean closer. Karen cut her off immediately. Do not embarrass yourself. A few customers exchanged curious looks. Monica remained perfectly still. The silence stretched. Then Karen turned back toward Monica and smiled again. You know what I think, she said. I think you enjoy creating scenes like this. Monica tilted her head slightly. And what makes you think that? Because no reasonable person would still be standing here. Monica's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Perhaps. Karen nodded confidently. Exactly. The certainty in her voice was beginning to sound forced. Around her, employees were no longer rushing to agree. Customers were no longer pretending not to notice. The room had shifted. Not dramatically. Not all at once. But enough. Emily could feel it. Others could too. The assumptions that had seemed so solid 15 minutes earlier were beginning to crack. Monica slowly turned her attention toward a framed photograph hanging near the far wall. It showed the grand opening of the showroom years ago. Karen noticed the glance and stepped into her line of sight. Do not change the subject. Monica looked back at her. I was not changing the subject. The answer carried an odd weight that Karen failed to recognize. Emily's heart pounded. She looked at the photograph, then at Monica, then back again. The resemblance was undeniable now. And for the first time, a quiet fear began creeping into Karen's expression. Not because she understood the truth yet, but because somewhere deep down she could feel control slipping through her fingers. The witnesses were awake now. And once people begin paying attention, some stories become impossible to stop. Karen could feel the room changing, and she hated it. Authority depended on certainty, and certainty was becoming harder to maintain with every passing second. The customers were no longer quietly shopping. They were watching. Employees who had once followed her instructions without hesitation now seemed uncertain. Even the atmosphere felt different. The luxury showroom still glittered beneath the chandeliers, but the confidence that had filled the room earlier was beginning to fade. Karen stepped toward the engagement display and reached for the yellow diamond ring Monica had been examining. With deliberate motion, she removed it from the case and handed it to another employee. "Put this away," she said. "Now." The employee hesitated, but a customer was looking at it. Karen's eyes narrowed. "I said put it away." The ring disappeared from sight. Several customers noticed immediately. Monica noticed too. She watched quietly as the display space sat empty beneath the bright lights. "Interesting decision," she said. Karen folded her arms. "It is not available. A moment ago it was. Not anymore." The answer came too quickly, too defensively. The older gentleman near the watch display frowned. His wife shook her head. Even people who knew nothing about the situation could recognize unfair treatment when they saw it. Monica remained calm, but something deep inside her stirred. Not anger, memory. The showroom around her slowly blurred as another room surfaced from years ago. She was 19, a college student with a scholarship, a part-time job, and a dream larger than her bank account. She remembered standing inside a jewelry store downtown, staring at a simple display of engagement rings. She had not even been shopping for herself. She had been curious, inspired. The salesman approached and asked if she was lost. When she explained she was simply looking, he smiled politely and suggested she try a department store instead. The memory remained sharp even after all these years. Not because of the words themselves, but because of what they represented. An assumption, a judgment, a decision made before she ever had the chance to speak. The memory dissolved and the showroom returned. The same feeling lingered. Different faces, different decade, same assumption. Karen pointed toward the entrance again. "This has gone on long enough." Monica looked at her calmly. "You believe that because you think this moment is about jewelry." Karen laughed. "What else would it be about?" Monica glanced around the room. Every eye seemed fixed on them now. Emily stood motionless near the register, her concern obvious. Several customers had abandoned their shopping. Entirely. The entire showroom had become a witness. "Respect," Monica said quietly. The word seemed almost too small for the silence that followed. Karen dismissed it immediately. "Respect is earned." Monica nodded slowly. "That is true." Karen seemed pleased by the response until Monica continued. "Which makes it strange that you decided I had not earned any before you knew a single thing about me." The sentence landed like a mirror placed directly in front of her. For the first time, Karen had no immediate response. The silence stretched. Emily looked from Monica to the photograph on the wall again, then back to Monica. Her certainty was complete now. And somewhere inside the growing tension of the showroom, the final line between suspicion and truth had almost disappeared. The silence that followed seemed to settle over the showroom like a layer of glass. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Even the soft background music felt distant now. Karen glanced around and realized something she had not noticed before. The customers were no longer looking at Monica. They were looking at her. The attention that had once felt empowering now felt uncomfortable. Emily took another step forward. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. "Karen, I really think we need to stop." Karen turned sharply. "Enough, Emily." "No," Emily replied. "I do not think you understand what is happening." The room froze again. Several employees exchanged nervous looks. Karen laughed, but the sound lacked confidence. "Then explain it." Emily opened her mouth, but Monica gently raised a hand. Not as a command, as a request. Emily immediately fell silent. Monica looked toward her and offered a small nod. Then she reached into her sweater pocket and removed her phone. The simple motion attracted every eye in the showroom. Karen folded her arms. "Calling someone?" Monica unlocked the screen calmly. "Yes." "A lawyer?" Karen asked. Monica smiled faintly. "No." She selected a contact and lifted the phone to her ear. The call connected almost instantly. "Good afternoon, Ms. Brooks," a woman's voice answered. Several employees looked up immediately. Karen did not notice. "Hello, Rachel," Monica said. "Please bring up store 214. Rachel did not hesitate. "Already open." Monica glanced around the showroom one more time. "Begin review protocol." The response came immediately. "Understood." The call ended. That was all. No dramatic speech. No threats. No argument. Monica slipped the phone back into her pocket. Karen stared at her for several seconds before shaking her head. That was supposed to impress someone? A few nervous laughs escaped from employees standing near the back. Nobody else joined them. Monica remained calm. Not at all. Karen spread her hands. Then what exactly was the point? Monica looked toward the large digital display mounted above the center showcase. It currently featured a rotating advertisement for custom diamond collections. "You will understand soon." The answer irritated Karen even more. "You keep acting like something is about to happen." Monica's expression never changed. Something already happened. The sentence lingered in the air. Across the showroom, customers watched in complete silence now. The older gentleman near the watches lowered himself into a chair without taking his eyes off the scene. His wife sat beside him. Neither seemed interested in leaving. Emily could feel her heartbeat pounding. She knew what Monica's last name meant. She knew who Rachel probably was. She knew exactly what review protocol referred to. Every employee learned about it during training. Most never expected it to be used. Karen, however, appeared completely unaware. She checked her watch and sighed dramatically. "I have wasted enough time on this." Monica nodded. "That is true." Karen pointed toward the entrance once more. "Then leave." Monica's eyes moved briefly to the digital display overhead. The screen continued cycling through advertisements. Diamonds, engagement collections, luxury watches, smiling couples. Everything looked normal. Yet somehow the showroom no longer felt normal. It felt like a countdown. Invisible, silent, unstoppable. Karen could sense it too now, though she did not understand why. The confidence she had worn all afternoon was beginning to crack around the edges. And somewhere behind the polished displays and sparkling diamonds, a system had already begun moving. Quietly, methodically, without raising its voice. Exactly like the woman standing in the middle of the room. The digital display changed so suddenly that several customers looked up at the exact same moment. 1 second it was showing a diamond advertisement. The next, the screen went black. A quiet murmur moved through the showroom. Employees stopped what they were doing. Karen turned toward the display, irritation already forming on her face. "What now?" she muttered. Then the company logo appeared. Bright, centered, official. Beneath it, a new image slowly faded onto the screen. The showroom became silent. Completely silent. It was a professional corporate portrait. The woman in the photograph stood in front of a flagship location during a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Confident, composed, familiar, very familiar. Karen stared at the screen. Then she looked at Monica. Then back at the screen. The blood seemed to drain from her face. Across the showroom, Emily closed her eyes briefly. She already knew what was coming. The text beneath the photograph appeared one line at a time. Monica Brooks, founder, chief executive officer, Brooks Fine Jewelry Group. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even the background music seemed insignificant now. The older gentleman near the watch section slowly stood up. His wife covered her mouth. Several employees looked at each other in disbelief. Karen remained frozen. The screen continued updating. Company history, expansion milestones, charity initiatives, national awards, store openings. Every image featured the same woman who had spent the last several minutes being told she did not belong. Monica looked around the showroom calmly. The atmosphere had transformed completely. What had once been certainty was now shock. What had once been judgment was now realization. Emily finally stepped forward. "I tried to tell you," she said quietly. Karen did not respond. Her eyes remained locked on the screen. The information continued scrolling. Employee training materials, leadership awards, interviews, magazine covers. There was no room left for doubt. Monica was not simply an important customer. She was the person whose vision had built everything standing around them. The marble floors, the showcases, the lighting, the displays, the careers, all of it. Monica folded her hands calmly. "You asked why I believed I belonged here." Karen swallowed hard. The confidence that had carried her through the afternoon had vanished completely. She began. The words never arrived. Monica's voice remained measured. You denied service to the woman who owns every diamond in this showroom. The sentence landed with astonishing force precisely because it was delivered so quietly. No shouting, no anger, no triumph, just truth. Several customers exchanged stunned looks. One employee slowly sat down in a nearby chair as if his knees had suddenly lost strength. Emily felt relief wash over her, not because the reveal had happened, but because reality had finally entered the room. Karen shook her head slightly. There has to be some mistake. Monica looked toward the display where her photograph remained visible above everyone. No, she replied softly. The mistake happened when you decided who deserved respect before you knew who they were. Nobody challenged her. Nobody could. The showroom that had once felt like Karen's territory now belonged unmistakably to the woman standing calmly beneath the screen. And for the first time all afternoon, Karen understood that the conversation was no longer under her control. Karen stood motionless beneath the glow of the digital display. The screen above continued cycling through company achievements, but nobody was paying attention to the images anymore. Every eye in the showroom remained fixed on the space between Monica Brooks and the manager who had spent the last several minutes trying to remove her. The contrast was impossible to miss. One woman looked increasingly desperate. The other looked completely at peace. Monica reached into her pocket once more and glanced briefly at her phone. A message had arrived. She read it and nodded almost imperceptibly. Then she looked back up. The review is complete, she said calmly. Karen blinked. Review. Monica slipped the phone away. The one that began 5 minutes ago. Several employees exchanged nervous glances. Emily knew exactly what that meant. Corporate review protocols were not launched casually. They existed for moments when leadership needed to understand what was really happening inside a store. Every customer complaint, every employee report, every disciplinary record, every survey response, everything became visible. Karen's confidence weakened further. You cannot make decisions based on a misunderstanding. Monica tilted her head slightly. A misunderstanding? Karen nodded quickly. Yes, that is all this was. Monica looked around the showroom. You denied service. Karen opened her mouth. Monica continued. You assumed I could not afford merchandise. Karen looked away. Monica continued again. You instructed employees to remove inventory rather than assist a customer. The silence became heavier with every sentence. And you requested security before asking a single meaningful question. Nobody challenged the facts because everyone in the room had witnessed them. Monica's phone rang softly. She answered and placed the call on speaker. Rachel. Everything is ready, Ms. Brooks, Rachel replied. The professional voice echoed through the showroom. Human Resources has completed its review. Store performance records have also been verified. Karen's shoulders stiffened. Thank you, Monica said. Please proceed. A few seconds later, a notification sounded from Karen's company tablet resting behind the counter. Then another. Then another. The device screen illuminated automatically. Her employee access credentials had been suspended. Gasps spread through the showroom. An employee near the register checked his own device and immediately stepped back in surprise. Karen hurried toward the counter and picked up the tablet. Her hands trembled. The message was unmistakable. Manager access revoked. Administrative privileges disabled. Corporate review action in progress. No, she whispered. This cannot be happening. Rachel's voice remained calm. Effective immediately, Karen Whitmore's employment with Brooks Fine Jewelry has been terminated following review of conduct violations and leadership standards. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. The outcome had arrived without shouting, without threats, and without spectacle. Monica had not raised her voice once. She had simply allowed the truth to catch up with the situation. Karen looked around the showroom as if searching for support. She found none. Employees lowered their eyes. Customers watched quietly. The authority she had relied upon all afternoon had vanished in an instant. Emily released a breath she had been holding for what felt like hours. The older gentleman near the watch display nodded slowly. That seems fair, he said quietly. Several customers agreed. Monica remained exactly where she had been standing. Calm, steady, unmoved. 5 minutes earlier she had been told to leave. Now the entire showroom understood who truly belonged there. For several moments, nobody moved. The showroom felt different now, as though a weight that had been pressing down on the room had finally lifted. The diamonds still sparkled beneath the lights. The marble floors still reflected the glow of the chandeliers. Yet everything seemed clearer, more honest. Karen slowly set the company tablet down on the counter. The authority she had relied on all afternoon was gone. What remained was silence. Monica did not celebrate. She did not smile triumphantly. She did not humiliate anyone. Instead, she looked around the showroom that had occupied so many years of her life. Every display case represented a dream that had once existed only on paper. Every employee represented an opportunity someone had been given. Every customer who walked through the doors deserved the same thing: respect. The older gentleman near the watch display took a few steps forward. "Thank you," he said. Monica looked surprised. "For what?" The man glanced around the room. "For reminding people what leadership looks like." Several customers nodded in agreement. Emily felt her eyes sting slightly. She had joined the company because she admired what Brooks' fine jewelry represented. Watching the founder handle the situation without anger or revenge only strengthened that belief. Monica turned toward her. "Emily." The young associate straightened immediately. "Yes, ma'am." Monica offered a small smile. "Thank you for paying attention." Emily swallowed hard. "I almost spoke up sooner." "But you did speak up," Monica replied. "That matters." The words seemed to relax the tension Emily had been carrying all afternoon. Around them, employees began returning to their stations. Customers slowly resumed conversations. Life inside the showroom was beginning to move again. Yet nobody would forget what had happened there. Monica stepped toward the center of the room. No microphone, no stage, no announcement, just a simple conversation. "The rarest thing in this showroom is not a diamond," she said. The room gradually became quiet once more. Employees listened. Customers listened. Everyone listened. Monica looked around carefully before continuing. "Diamonds can be purchased. Watches can be purchased. Luxury can be purchased. Respect cannot." The words settled across the showroom like sunlight breaking through clouds. The moment we decide who deserves dignity based on appearance, clothing, background, or assumptions, we stop serving people and start serving our own prejudice. Nobody interrupted. Nobody disagreed. The truth was too visible. It had played out in front of all of them. Monica glanced toward the large digital display where her photograph remained visible above the showroom floor. "A business succeeds because people trust it," she continued. "And trust begins long before a sale. It begins with how we treat the person standing in front of us." The room remained silent for several seconds. Then a customer began clapping. Another joined. Then another. Soon applause spread across the showroom. Not loud. Not dramatic. Genuine. Monica accepted it with a small nod. Nothing more. Because this had never been about proving who she was. It had been about revealing who everyone else chose to be when they thought she was nobody. As the applause slowly faded and normal conversation returned, Monica looked one final time at the diamonds shining beneath the lights. Then she turned and walked deeper into the showroom she had built from a dream, leaving behind a lesson that would remain long after the afternoon ended. She had not raised her voice. She had raised the standard.